Hello team, this is Les Bennett, Learning and Development Manager with the Stewart Restaurant Group. Have you ever found yourself in a situation where you turn your pump motor on and it's running just fine, but for some reason it's not pulling any oil from the bottom pan up into the vat? Now there's several reasons why this can happen, one of which could be that the pump motor has lost its prime. In today's video, we're going to talk about how a pump loses its prime and how to go about resolving the issue. Now to determine whether or not my pump has lost its prime, one of the easiest things I can do is I'm going to remove the filter tank. And I'm going to look at this inlet here. I'm going to make sure it's cooled down. But I'm going to turn my pump on. And I should feel suction as I put my finger up to it, which I do in this case. If I didn't feel any suction, that would be an indicator that the prime has gone out on the pump. So now to reprime the pump, I made sure that the pump motor was turned off. And I've also taken off the right panel of the fryer. And as I get down here, I can see my motor and I can see the pump. If the pump has lost its prime, what's happened is oil has leaked out of the pump and the pump is filled with air. And if the pump's filled with air, it's not going to be able to pump oil from the bottom vat up to the top. So we're going to have to add some fresh oil to the pump. Now to get in there, we got one little port right here. All I have to do is I can put a wrench up to here and I can turn this. And I'm going to take this piece off right here, which will give me access to add oil to the pump. All right, now I was able to remove the plug, which I got right down here. And now what I'm going to need is I'm going to need some cold oil. You never want to use hot oil when you're priming your pump. You always want to use cold oil. And you're going to need some way to get the oil into the hole there. The cleanest way is just to have a funnel with a 1/2-inch clear tube clamped onto it. Now if you don't have access to that, you can try to directly just pour the oil in, or if you have a RTI, you can just use your wand and try to get in there. Those methods tend to make a bigger mess, which is not the end of the world, but you'll have some oil to clean up. So I like to use a funnel and a hose. At this point, I filled up my pump with fresh oil. I put the plug back in. So if I was to turn the fryer on, the pump should have regained its prime and it should now work. The question we may have though is, why did it lose its prime in the first place? Well, 90% of the time it's because the seal kit has gone out. So we got a motor, which has a shaft, and the pump fits on that shaft. Well, on that shaft, there's a series of seals. And what those seals do is they keep the oil inside of the pump. When those seals start to go out, oil is going to migrate. It's going to come out of the pump and it's going to leak out. And once it starts leaking out, that's when you can lose the prime on the pump. Also, if that oil starts leaking out, it can actually overflow into our motor here and take out our motor. So seal kits are very important. So if you are losing the prime on your pump, one thing you're going to want to look for is there excessive oil built up in this area here. In other words, is oil leaking out of here and starting to build up? Because you may reprime your pump, but it may go out again and again and again until that seal is replaced.